Alright, welcome back. We're going to talk some more about persistent data and go into detail about profile namespace. More specifically, using the profile namespace on a dedicated server. Just know saving large amounts of data to the profile namespace is not recommended, but if you just have a couple variables for your mission you need to make persistent, this will do the trick. There are many ways to go about this, but I'm going to offer you one solution that seems to work. I'll use a method that I think is just the easiest to understand. We're going to use the server profile namespace as well as the global namespace attached to the mission. We'll let the server be kind of like our cloud storage for our variables, and we'll use our mission namespace variable to make changes or updates to our variables while the mission is running. To do this, we'll just make the server detect any changes in the mission variable. So if we update our global mission namespace variable, the server will detect it and save it to long-term storage. Then all we have to do is make the server load that saved variable upon initialization of the server. Let's show you what I mean. I've made a very basic save loop for us. This will run on the server in the initserver.sqf. We're going to be working with our test variable, and we'll run a loop so that we can check if this test variable changes in our mission namespace. Think of the mission namespace as just global variables that exist during the runtime of the mission, but are lost after the server is shut down. The server and all the clients should have access to these variables. We'll try to retrieve our test variable from the server's profile namespace. If it doesn't exist, it will return as our default value 0. Then we'll get the current state of our test var within the mission namespace. Next, we'll simply just check if our server saved data is the same as the current mission data. If they're different, then that means we've updated our mission variable and the server needs to save those new changes. In that case, we'll use the profile namespace and we'll set variable to save our test variable as the current mission variable. I found it works best when you force save the profile namespace. Last, we're just going to debug by using system chat to show us what our current mission variable is. I'm going to make it sleep for 5 seconds in between checking. The only other thing we have to do is initialize everything in the initserver.sqf. First, we're going to check the server's profile namespace and see if it has our test var. Then, in our global mission namespace, we're going to broadcast what the saved value of our test var is from the server. Then kick off our save loop to detect and save any changes. Remember, this runs when the server boots up, so it's just going to tell our global namespace, hey, this is the last save that we have. Here you go. Then our save loop is just going to look for changes that happen during the mission and make sure the server saves them. I have a dedicated server, and I went ahead and put this code on it so I can show you what it looks like. Alright, here we are on the server. I don't have my debug console as I'm a client, but I do have Zeus. So let's just hijack the console inside the edit object thing. Let's just check the mission namespace to see if our test var is working. It should return 0, but if it's not working, it'll return 1. In system chat down here we have a 0. Now to test it, we're just going to change the value of our mission namespace variable. So we'll set test var to 10, and then after a couple seconds when the server realizes the change and saves it, it should report it down here in system chat. And there you have it. So the system's got our data, should be saved to the server profile namespace, and we should be able to retrieve it even after we shut down the server. So let's stop the server then. We'll boot the server back up. Alright, we're back in. Let's see if we can find our variable. Once again, we'll do a global check and make sure that the server has loaded our last save value for the variable and has broadcasted it to us. If it's working, it should come back as 10 as we saved it last. If it's not, it'll default to 1. Let's see. Alright, that works. We got 10 down here and the server saving it. So that's going to work pretty good for like your smaller variables, if you don't need to save very much. But the idea is just to reduce traffic back and forth and just let the server check for changes and save it on its own. Then you could just have scripts that update global variables and the server can save them in like packets. I'm not like the master of this method, and that's only one way to do it. So, use your noodle and that's how that works. So good luck.